Look, I'm not the type of guy that calls for an alt season every month, but now I am finally saying like, hey guys, I think that we are going to see an alt season soon. I've been saying for a long time on the channel, end of year, beginning next year. Now it's now August, 3-4 months, and we're sitting at the end of the year, right? I think it is coming, and I want to show you 6 charts that back that up. And there's probably way more, but I want to show you 6 charts that at least show you why I think that there's going to be an alt season and how you can best approach that. So if you feel like, oh, this is going to be exciting, FOMO, bullish on altcoins, what the fuck? Yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and let's get right into it. So I'm converting 50% of my Bitcoin to alts right now, as I think that the lows are likely to be in. Let me explain. So I have a big Bitcoin bag, and Bitcoin is great. Like I said that for a long time, right? If you have Bitcoin, you're riding the market up, right? Bitcoin went from the lows of 15K all the way to 70 something K, right? So you were not in USDT or anything. You haven't missed out. Matter of fact, Bitcoin from the low to the high did a 370% gain. That's kind of the same as the altcoin market right now. And Bitcoin is now sitting higher than the altcoin market from the bottom. So 1, you have rode it all up. 2, you now still have that Bitcoin to buy the lows with. Now, first chart, reason 1, Bitcoin dominance sitting at major resistance, right? So let's go over to the Bitcoin dominance to show you a little bit better than that. So if you look at the Bitcoin dominance, this is the trend that we have been in for a long time. Now, actually, it's a trend in the third touch. Now, it's still the question, are we going to make that third touch, right? So it's not a given. Nothing is a given though in this market, but this especially is not a given. We can break above, but it's more like, hey, I have 6 different charts and they're all saying the same thing, which makes this make more sense. So it is not that weird to think like, hey, if this is the channel that the Bitcoin dominance is in, then we're going to do something like this, right? And before I start about all of this, you know, if I say alt season, people sometimes think like, oh, altcoin is going to 10x. Alt season is where altcoins outperform Bitcoin. So there's either a Bitcoin season or an altcoin season. The dollar has nothing to do with that, okay? So although we get an alt season at a certain point, it doesn't necessarily mean that altcoins go up on the dollar pair. That depends on how Bitcoin does on the dollar pair. Now, I do think that in this part of the cycle, Bitcoin will do very well against the dollar, especially next year. And that would be very fantastic for altcoins. But still, if Bitcoin goes down, altcoins still go down, right? But they should outperform Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin dominance is sitting at this top right here. Now, there are a couple of things that show like, hey, we can go low. If you, for example, take the Fibonacci retracement from the 2017 cycle, you see that we kind of topped out at 618 right here, right? That's a big level that usually works very well. If we now apply that to this cycle, you can see that the 618 is coming in at 60%. So all in all, if we do break above this trend line, I think 60% should be the top, give or take, right? We can get there. I'm not trying to time this by the percent, right? So it's not that if we do this, that I come and say like, oh God, it was all so fucking wrong, right? Yeah, we can go, of course, a little bit higher. But this area right here, that's, I think, where we top out and we're not going somewhere around there or so. So that's one. The Bitcoin dominance is sitting at major resistance. Reason number 2. Others, Bitcoin, sits at major support and it might put in a double bottom at this point. Now, others is the altcoin market. Well, it's everything outside of the top 10. Okay, so there's no Bitcoin, no Ethereum, no USDT, no USDC, but also no high caps like Solana. Maybe still Doge is in it, I think. And Cardano got kicked out, but XRP maybe, right? Well, this market on its Bitcoin pair. If we look at the previous cycles, you can see right? We had major resistance at this point. We had major support here. Well, major. We had support here. We had resistance here. We had big resistance here. In this market where we now went down, we found support right here before we had that before we had that big run up last year, beginning this year. And now we are sitting there again. This is a strong area. Right? This is something, and again, it can all be validated, right? We can break, but this is usually not something that you just break, right? If you look what's going on over here, right? Now we've put in a low right here in June 2023, and we're now sitting at the same levels. So also that shows like, hey, if you were not in altcoins this whole time, you haven't missed out on anything. Yeah, you have missed out on a trade, right? Buying, selling, buying maybe, but if you are an investor, you have not missed out on the altcoin market at all. You can buy the lows right now, right? And that's where a lot of people mistake. They feel like, yeah, I want to be in altcoins as soon as possible because they can go up really hard. We are sitting at cycle lows, man. Last time we were there was at the beginning of the last bull market. So from basically, you know, from the top, it so far didn't pay off to be in altcoins at all, right? And it gave people so much stress. Oh, my altcoin is down so bad. You could have ignored it and you would have outperformed everybody. Lesson for the first cycle or for the next cycle. But nevertheless, this is sitting at huge support that goes back for 7 years. Okay? So that's not to be taken lightly. Also, this is a parallel channel, which is interesting. Or a parallel channel, Jesus. Yeah, it is a parallel channel, but it's a falling wedge, right? And they usually break to the upside, just saying, right? So that's reason number 2. Reason number 3. It took 3.5 years, but Ethereum on its Bitcoin pair finally retested the 0.04 level, which has a lot of support and resistance in the past. So if we go to Ethereum on its Bitcoin pair, and why is this interesting? Well, because Ethereum is the leading altcoin, right? Ethereum is the biggest altcoin out there. And basically, if Ethereum does well on its Bitcoin pair, usually other altcoins do well on their Bitcoin pair as well. If an Ethereum goes down, then mostly all other altcoins are going down as well. So if you want to look for a chart that shows you something like an Altseason and you don't want to look at the Bitcoin dominance, then this is the next best chart that you can basically take a look at. This has been going down really hard. My lines don't make sense, but like this they do. So if you look at this, you know, Ethereum Bitcoin was falling, well, basically since November 2021. Right? But here we started in this channel and it's just been going down, right? We had the merge, we had the Ethereum ETF. It all doesn't make sense. Or it doesn't matter. News is overrated, okay? Because apparently the chart doesn't give a fuck. So why would we look at the news? We can better look at the chart. No, the charts are just down and that's what we do. However, we had support here. We had in 2017, right? Support here. We had resistance here. We had resistance here. This was a level like, guys, we should retest that. And people, when we were here, they'd be like, yeah, no, we're not going to retest that. And we finally retested that. And like, not just a retest, perfectly. Right? Perfectly. All these levels right here. We retested that. And from that point, we bounced quite hard. Now, I'm not saying we now do this. Right? We might as well go down, retest it, maybe wick below it, right? And go back above and then break up. But I think that this area, huge support. So again, it's not like one chart. Like you can, of course, take a look at one of these charts and have something as an argument against it. But if you glue all these charts together, yeah, then I feel like you can't ignore that, right? Reason number 4. This is a nice one. Others' dominance, so the altcoin market dominance, is sitting exactly at the bottom of a channel which has been active since 2014 for 10 years. Let's take a look at that. So if we have the Bitcoin dominance, of course. Again, Bitcoin dominance going up, opposite of Altseason, right? That makes others go down. If others' dominance goes up, that's Altseason, right? This is the channel that we are in. Right? And it kind of started over here where we had this resistance, right? And we didn't go into the channel, but that's where the support started, right? For this channel. And once we got in it, in 2017 as well. So for the last 7 years, we've been ranging in that channel. We go up, up, down, up, up. Wait, it's even better. Up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up. Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't have to play out like that forever. But that's what it does so far. And, you know, the saying, don't fight the trend, right? The trend is your friend until the end. There's no end here. There's no end. It's sitting. Always when we get to a resistance or support, like people feel like this is the end. No, but that actually makes the trend, right? So we're now sitting there. That's really interesting, right? Also, if you consider that as long as this chart exists, basically, altcoins on their Bitcoin pair, the others, over the long term outperforms Bitcoin. Altcoins are long-term outperformers against Bitcoin, right? There are people saying like long-term they're underperformers or they like consolidate. But this chart has been going up forever as long as it exists, right? High highs, high lows. So we now put in a higher low. We did not put in a lower low. That would be a little concerning, to be honest. If we put in a lower low, then again would be the end of the world, right? Here as well, we put in a low, a higher low, and here we made a lower low. It still was a beautiful buying opportunity, right? But overall, we made a higher low. And we are sitting at the low side of the range of the channel. That's usually screaming buying opportunity. So that's something that I do need to point out right here. All these charts together, they show the same thing, right? So it is likely, I'm not saying we will again, but it's likely that we eventually go up. And we might not go up in a straight line, of course, right? Like we did over here as well. We go up and back down and then up. So we can, of course, do something like this, and right? But it's likely that the next move is going to be up over the mid-long term. Look, like what happens next week, hey, I don't know, right? But also, this is beautiful. If you look at this chart, then you cannot tell me like, oh, I should convert my altcoins into Bitcoin right now. That's like selling the bottom and buying the top, right? That's what you don't do. Love it. Also, reason 5, Bitcoin dominance, if you exclude some things, because the Bitcoin dominance exists out of everything in the market, right? But if you take the Bitcoin dominance, but you exclude some stables like USDT and USDC, but also some high cap altcoins that you may not be interested in buying in the first place, like XRP, Ethereum, Cardano, then this is the chart that you get. And it looks like it's turning the past cycle support into resistance. So let's take a look at that one as well. We have that one over here, right? So what you're seeing right now is that in the last cycle, right, we had that dominance for Bitcoin in this whole level, and it had such, support for such a long time, since February 2019, maybe sooner than that. Chart doesn't go back further until February 2021, and then we broke down and Altseason got started. Now we got to that same level, and we are basically in that range for more than a year right now, and we cannot seem to break above it. Matter of fact, for a long time, it was making lower lows and lower highs. Now, last couple of months are bullish, though. I'm not going to lie, because we have made higher lows, right? And we made like a higher high as well. But nevertheless, we're still sitting in that huge range, which gave a lot of support right here. And now we have a lot of resistance right here. So it's also, when you put that all together, not weird to think that this then should go down. And again, that's an Altseason. And last but not least, total 3, excluding USDT on its Bitcoin pair. So again, that's the complete market, excluding Ethereum and Bitcoin and USDT, but includes things like USDC, DAI, all these other stable coins, etc. So not really a fan of this chart. On its Bitcoin pair, it's having a lot of trouble breaking down at previous support/resistance levels, and it might bottom here. So if we take a look at that chart, then let me see, is this the right one? Yeah, this is the right one. This is what we get, right? You can say like, hey, this is the top of the range. This is the lower side of the range. We should go there. Like, that's what Benjamin Cohen says a lot, right? He expects it to go here. It might, but I'm not trying to time that bottom, right? Because it very well might not. Because what you see is, like I showed you, if you look at others on the Bitcoin pair, right? Altcoins are long-term outperformers against Bitcoin. We had a low, we had a higher low, we had a high low, higher low, higher low, higher low, right? So why, if this chart makes higher lows all the time, why can this chart, you know, not make a higher low right now? Why should this go to the bottom? Doesn't line up really. So if we look at that, then I feel like, hey, this might be the bottom for this cycle. We had a lot of shit going on right here. We had a lot of support right here, major resistance at this point. And now in this cycle, we are having this point as support since June last year. So this is providing us support for more than a year now. Now, yeah, we have some work to do because lower highs, lower lows, right? But we are still in the range. And it is, if I would only look at this chart, I would say it's weak, it can break down. But again, combining this with all the other charts, where the Bitcoin dominance is sitting at the top, where Ethereum Bitcoin is sitting at the bottom, where altcoins on their Bitcoin pair are sitting at the bottom, where the altcoin dominance is sitting at the bottom, that all lines up with the fact that, of course, if those moves play out, this goes up, right? And like I said, that kind of makes sense if you look at others' Bitcoin putting in higher lows all the time. Then this chart should also put in a higher low. And that could suggest that this previous support and resistance is now maybe the bottom. So that could suggest like, hey, guys, we might get an alt season right now, right? Again, I'm not a fan of calling an alt season. I know there are a lot of people that like to call for an alt season pretty often. And I'm pretty allergic to that. Really allergic, because it clearly, there were no fucking signs of an alt season anywhere for the last couple of years, right? And everybody that called for an alt season, guys, these are the charts that you look at if you want to look if it's an alt season or not, right? Not an altcoin on the dollar pair or not whatever. These are the charts, right? And now they're all saying the same thing, right? It's a major resistance or support, depending on which chart you're looking at. All of them, collectively. So, really interesting to see. Now, again, like I said on Twitter as well, if you don't follow me there, follow me there though. This doesn't mean that altcoins cannot go down on the dollar pair, but on their Bitcoin pair, the bottom might be in. Again, might, right? I could be dead wrong. And you know, if I'm wrong, you can blame me for that. But hey, I'm just a guy who looks at charts. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, right? It's like, if it was easy to do, yeah, then we'd all be rich. But let's be honest, this whole thing is not that easy, right? But this is what I'm looking at right now. And it kind of makes sense to me, right? It makes a lot of sense to me, right? But having 6 charts showing the same thing is something I cannot ignore. And even if I'm wrong, I don't think it will all go much lower, right? Because again, if you look at this chart, for example, right, look where we came from. We came from here, right? Even if we go to the low side of range, what's this move compared to what we have seen, right? So it would be, if you are in Bitcoin and you are waiting to put it into altcoins, it will be, in my opinion, super unwise to not do it right now. Again, we're sitting at major macro multi-year support on multiple different charts. What are you waiting for, right? For this chart to only make this move? If you're trying to time that bottom like that, usually that's the way to get wrecked. So altcoins should outperform Bitcoin from this point over the long term. And like I said, of course, they can still go down next week, right? Like, it's not that I'm saying this right now and that if you're watching the Bitcoin dominance go slightly high tomorrow, that you can already say like, oh, you suck, right? Like, these short-term moves, I don't fucking know about short-term. I have no idea, right? And to be honest, I don't care about short-term, and you shouldn't either, right? This is an investor channel. This is not a trade channel. If you're trading, follow Eric Crown. I would say he's fucking on point, man. But if you are investing, then this is what you should look at, in my opinion. So I think the best trade right now is to be in good quality alts that have shown that they can outperform Bitcoin during Bitcoin season. These will very likely, very much outperform during alt season as well. All right, so what should you take a look at? Again, look at Bitcoin or altcoins on their Bitcoin pair, right? Not on the dollar pair. The dollar pair doesn't really matter in this case. So if you, for example, look at render Bitcoin, right? This is how you should look at it, right? Render has been outperforming Bitcoin insanely, while the collective altcoin market was going down on the Bitcoin pair because the Bitcoin dominance went up. So if you see an altcoin going up while the dominance goes up as well, then that says like, whoa, this altcoin is crazy. Altcoins are getting wrecked. The opposite of alt season was happening all the time, and this altcoin went up. Okay, let alt season come then. Let's see how that altcoin does then, right? So yeah, if you, for example, take a look at render, damn. Right? And even in this crash right here, render was nothing but a fucking buying opportunity. I can say that with all my conviction. Again, it doesn't mean that render cannot go lower at this point, but where altcoins overall, like Joe, for example, right, made new lows. Volker Forged made new lows, right? This is how most altcoins look like. If you look at render, it made new highs. And the only thing that it basically did right now is continue with the trend. Lows, higher lows, higher low, higher low, right? And in a trend which has highs, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, the best thing to do is buy the higher low. That's where we are right now. So that's why I'm now stacking up on render, right? This is an opportunity that we do not get a lot, right? These are the kind of altcoins that I'm buying right now. And I think that these are the best buys at the moment. It doesn't mean you should not stack up on altcoins that don't look like this. There's just a handful of altcoins that look like this, right? The upside is that you are very likely to buy an altcoin that is going to outperform in this coming market, right? So that's the all upside about coins like render. The downside, it's not even really downside, but well, let's call it like that. The downside is that you are buying an altcoin that's already in a big uptrend. So you are buying it far from the lows, right? So the potential upside is not that much compared to something that you do buy at the lows and that eventually goes up. Then again, this is when it comes to risk for an altcoin, one of the lower risks. And when it comes to rewards, well, so far already really rewarding. So like I said, how it does in alt season, great. Like if we look at an IMX, for example, IMX is not a coin that looks like render, but it's also not an underperformer, right? Again, you want to compare it. This is the complete altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair. And what does it do? It puts in a double bottom right here. So your altcoin should at least put in a double bottom or higher than that. Now, if we look at IMX Bitcoin, it just puts in a double bottom, right? So IMX is not an outperformer, but it's also not an underperformer. It just goes with the market, right? Then, if you want to be bullish on this thing, hey, this does what the market does, right? So then you just want to look at the market. Is the market going to be bullish? Well, from everything that I just showed, I think fuck yeah, right? So IMX, fuck yeah. So I bought IMX as well, right? A lot of people, they like to buy it right here, right? Because they look at the dollar pair and the dollar pair was like, oh yeah, okay. But the Bitcoin pair was sitting at the highs right here, right? Now the Bitcoin pair is sitting at the lows. So IMX is an obvious play. So these are my higher conviction plays. I also bought some AVAX. AVAX is an outperformer. Not hard, but it is an outperformer because it had its bottom right here and it now sits above it. I mean, it can still go down here. It's very likely to go down here, by the way. But now the whole market sits at a double bottom. AVAX is still above it, at least. So it's now a performer. So these are the kind of coins that I'm buying, right? The renders, the IMXs, the AVAXs, but also just the higher caps in general, like Beam, like Ronin. I bought some OXO. That's harder to chart because OXO is newer, right? So it's really hard to say. We don't have a last cycle to compare it really with. But if we look at OXO, hey, bottom, double bottom basically, right? It's a resistance, broke out, bottom, up maybe. These are the coins that I'm buying. Now, of course, I am gambling a little bit. For example, I added a coin to my portfolio, which is, where do we have it? Let me see. It doesn't show it right here. So I've bought this one. I've bought Polis, Star Atlas. After I spoke about it in my live stream the other day, I don't think it's the best chart, to be honest. Here we go. I spoke about it in my live stream, and I said in the live stream, well, after this, I'm putting it on my watch list by Polis, and I did, because Polis is just sitting like it was sitting at this level, right before the breakout end of last year, and it broke out and it did like an 8.5x, right? So it showed like, hey, once the market does well, these real high quality gaming projects on a chain, Solana, which is already a very popular chain with a lot of flows right now, they do very well, right? And now the market just basically says like, here, second chance. Yeah, it would be stupid to ignore this, right? So I definitely bought some Polis. We have the full chart. So Polis is what I've bought as well. But I can already tell you on its Bitcoin pair, it probably looks like shit, right? Yeah, this is what it looks like on its Bitcoin pair. So purely based off this chart, I would say, fuck that, because it's a heavy underperformer against Bitcoin. But this is just, I have some coins where I just break my own rules as well. And these are the coins, though, that I don't have such a big allocation in as the coins like I just mentioned, like the IMXs, etc. But it's just like, man, I don't know. I just want to have a position there. And I'm prepared for this to go down really hard, though. But if I just look at this, I feel like, man, okay, I like it, man. I like it. Other than that, my whole watch list, like, you know, well, render on the dollar pair bounced off of a pretty good level as well. But it shows, man, like, render already went to $13, right? And it went to the low here of $3. So back to the highs is already a 4x. A 4x, right, on a coin that is showing you like, doesn't matter what the fuck Bitcoin does, I'm gonna outperform it. Dude, in a market where it's pretty written on the wall that Bitcoin will make new all-time highs, yeah, it's an obvious play. It's an obvious play, right? I don't like going all in, but Render is a coin that if I had to go all in a coin, it would be Render probably, right? And there are more coins looking like that, like Casper, for example, or whatever, I don't know. But that's what I did. I've sold my link. I want to be a little transparent in this video. I sold my link somewhere here. Right before the crash, luckily. I didn't put it into USDT though. I put it into other altcoins. Why? Link is a little boring, man. And I like Link. I think it could do well in the market, but it kind of does nothing for a long time. And I think there are just better coins to be in when it comes to the returns. But so far in the downwards market, it has prevented me from making very big losses, because from the top until the range lows was down 45%. Yeah, most altcoins that I've seen were down 60 up till 80, 90%, right? So being in Link in this downwards market was nice. Now I feel like, okay, converted it to something more. I don't even know anymore. Probably it was like Render or something like that. So that's what I did. Seedify on its Bitcoin pair. I like Seedify. I'm a big Seedify bull as well. Let me take a look how that's looking, by the way, because I have no clue. S-Funds, USDT on BTC, USD pair. CDFI, probably lows. Yeah, lows, right? Also at the lows, slightly above it, right? So CDFI showing relative strength of like 12%, right? But it's not an underperformer as well, right? And also that's good. That's what you want to see, right? In a downwards market, it's not an underperformer, but in an upwards market, it is an outperformer, right? Because in this last run-up, CDFI gained 445% on its Bitcoin pair, while the whole collective altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair did 70%. So CDFI is going to be a fucking big winner in this cycle as well, right? This is how I don't know. I want to say this is how you should do it. I don't know. In my opinion, this is the best way to do it. This is how I do it. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people saying that they got wrecked for 70, 80%. I'm far from that. And maybe it's because I apply this. Maybe it's because I'm not fully allocated into the market and I had some dollars left. Maybe it was because I've taken my profits at these levels. I don't know. But all I know is this is a good way to look at it. This is a good way to look at it. So if you apply this, then that should all not be your concern anymore. Your only concern should be, is the market going up? Yeah. Look, I mean, apart from the narratives, there is now some bad news. So we get a red candle, a opportunity in my opinion, but you know, you can be scared because of it. But apart from the narratives, we can also look at the narratives like, dude, QE is coming. It's going to be fucking bullish for altcoins. Money printers are going to be turned on. We have the presidential elections. Usually after the elections, the market really goes up because then the market has certainty and the market likes that. The market loves certainty, right? But apart from all of that, I look at all of this and I just be like, dude, it's the 4-year cycle where we are in right now. And if you look at the Bitcoin halving, look what happened. Around the halving, not necessarily before or after, but just around the halving, Bitcoin here had a dump of 50%. Here, around the halving, Bitcoin had a dump of 38%. Here, around the halving, Bitcoin had a dump of 60%. Now, around the halving, Bitcoin has a dump of 27%. It's not only very normal, but this is also so far even the best cycle when it comes to crashes around the halving. Right? And in the middle of it, it feels like the world is over. I totally get that, especially for alts. But if you look at it like this, 1, this is very expected. 2, this is normal. And 3, this is playing out so far better than every other cycle so far. Every single one of them. Right? And you can say like, yeah, well, here we had COVID and here we had this and here we had that and here we have this. Doesn't matter. We always get it. Right? It's normal. So if you look at that, hey, dude, I don't want to say like, I don't want to be too bullish here, but I how can I not be? Right? Because that halving crash so far every time got followed up by a parabolic bull run and was the last basically opportunity you got to buy it, right? And now as well, like and then you can of course now say like, yeah, but this time is shut it up, man. I'm so sick of that. People saying this time is different. That's so the way to get wrecked. If you said right here, this time is different, you missed out. If you said this time is different, you missed out. This time is different, you missed out. This time is different, you will miss out. Simple, right? So purely look at it like this, right? Look at Bitcoin and the halvings and what happened. Around the halving, big crash. After the halving, parabolic run. What was the best thing to do so far? Every time, buy in that crash. Now, we can go lower. Don't get me wrong. I mean, so far this, like I said, is the best correction so far, the smallest correction so far. So yeah, it could be that we now still crash in total with 40% maybe, right? And that we go down here, 45K. It would, if you look at the last cycles, even that, it would not be uncommon, right? It would not be uncommon. But that's, again, a opportunity of a lifetime. If you look at Bitcoin, ROI after cycle peak, also interesting. Let me get the right chart right here. This is not the right one. Well, let me start off with this one. And let's compare it to the last two cycles. The ROI for Bitcoin after the bottom, right? Purple, whatever, is where we are right now. Look where we are. We are right on track with the previous cycles. Right on track. Compared to the other cycles, we should not be any higher right now. Yeah, we can be higher, but it's following the other cycles, right? And yeah, if we follow the other cycles, this day 630 since the bottom, hey, in day 680, we should be sitting at around the same levels. So it could be that for the next month, 2 months, we don't really do much as in making really big moves. But then again, that would be on track with the cycle. And the cycle is all we have, the 4-year cycle. Because that's so far always playing out. Whether the whole world shut down because of Corona, COVID or not, cycle completely played out. So why should it not this time? A matter of fact, if you take Bitcoin and you look at the ROI after the cycle peak, right? So this was our 69K last cycle. Look, in other cycles, we were sitting lower than that right now, right? We are now sitting quite high even. So we are not underperforming. We are still outperforming the other cycles. So what we can do is, of course, we either can go down quite hard. This would suggest that we can go down to 35K actually, and that would be on track. Or we just go sideways or whatever for another like 2 months, and then we are on track again. Right, so if you just take off your emotion hat and look at what's going on, how we're doing compared to other cycles, where we are in this cycle, then you might look at it like, wow, this is perfectly normal. This is really normal. Matter of fact, we're doing exactly what the other cycles did. And what else did the other cycles do? Having a parabolic bull market. And that's the only thing that we haven't seen yet. But hey, we got the bear market, we got the rally after that, we got the downwards trend, like every other one, right? We got the down market, we got the rally after that, we got the downwards trend in every market. And now the only thing that's left is the parabolic phase. And for some reason, that's what we're not going to repeat. I'm so bullish! Oh my God, guys. I've said this on Twitter. Last thing. I said this on Twitter. Let me make my head big for this. And I have some hay fever, so you're going to see me being fucked up. But I want to say this. Okay? I said this many times. But crypto is player versus player, right? Where you buy, somebody sells, and the other way around. Crypto is very much player versus player. Well, let me tell you this. One, most retail is not here. There are many charts that show that. People are not here, right? So you're playing against very few people. The people that are here are mostly scared. They're shitting the pants right now. They're capitulating. They're calling for Altseason cancelled. Bitcoin not going higher than whatever the fuck 80K. Or putting in a double top already or whatever. Like, these are the people that you're playing against. It is actually really easy right now. Again, I want to repeat, like, it's player versus player. And the few people that you're now yet playing against, that haven't given up yet, are the people that are shitting themselves. And that are capitulating and selling the lows and whatever. And the couple of OGs in the space left, these are the ones that are going to make it. Nobody else, right? The few people here that were left were the ones that were going to make it. Few people here that were left were the ones that were going to make it. And for the people, I again, this last thing, and I'm gonna wrap it up. I said this on the last video as well, but this is so fucking bullish. I need to repeat this. Look what the altcoin, this is altcoin market, right? Look what the altcoin market has done. From the top till the bottom, so far at least, is down 59%, right? 59%. This scares people, right? People sold, oh, help. Fucking pussies, right? 59%. Look what happened in 2019. From the top, we had a hard run up as well, right? Bull market. And then, down 59%. This was COVID, was a black swan. Let's say we didn't have that, then this would have gone pretty much sideways, right? So this was the bottom. And after that, this was the last buying opportunity that you got, right? It lasted a couple of months. Well, we bottomed in September, and like maybe in December we'd have already gone up. It looks like, but we got COVID, but otherwise in March we gone up. So it lasted a couple of months, and then we got the run, right? Guys, it might be that this will last maybe way, shorter, maybe the same, maybe it will last something like this. Maybe we put in a slightly low, could be. But this is the area. This is the magic area. Before we fucking rip. Really. Oh. So please, guys, don't give up now. This is the... If you're selling now, that's the most stupid fucking thing in your life that you can do. Not even crypto related. I don't know what kind of stupid shit you did in life, but that would be stupider. This is it. This is it. All right, I want to wrap it up. I'm now rattling again. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Turn the bell notification on. Like the video, man. Come on. So you can see more of this. It helps. Getting into the algorithm, so more people can get hyped up when I'm here sitting at the lows screaming that life is good, right? We need that. We need somebody bullish at the lows, man, not at the highs. So, hey, here we go. Cheers, guys.